Alright, they've swapped sides, so now ANS on Team 2, OSP on Team 1. Looks like it hasn't affected the plan very much, just mirrored it. Huntress along with Paladin, those are the two attacking forces out of Hunter. Going to line up on the same side, just mirrored. Likely going above B all the way into the C, just driving forward and eliminating everything in front of it. Meanwhile, Lemos, which was the 450 group, plus the Ocello, I believe. Looks like it's read the briefing and knows that that's where the push is going to come. It's lined up on the opposite side. Going to guess at least one of these on the bottom is an early warning radar tug. Trying to find the rocket shuttles. Suppose we'll have to wait. So here comes Huntress with a Vauxhall incredibly closely in tow. Suppose he doesn't mind at all about signature size. Okay, so this must be the E-War frigs plus the LRTs, making this a single spotlight. Looks like he's changed it up slightly, possibly to get more rocket shuttles. Nope, that group is the same. This is another E-War with an illuminator. So a standalone illuminator now. Meanwhile, these are even more E-War, even more illuminators. And this time, the mines have been attached to a secondary rocket shuttle squad. Looks like that mine layer line ship has been traded out. It's now the single S2 carrier plus 1, 2, 3 450s. So that mine layer line ship got traded out for another 450 line ship, bringing that total number up to 3 in the hopes that he'll be better able to counter this huge ball. Meanwhile, Hunter has his playbook, likes it, is going to stick with it. His scout hunting CLs move to the top. Everything else is in a giant ball, ready to push on this flank, and 120 CL per point is being deployed. Its beauty is in its simplicity. Avalon has a lot more work cut out for him. Here come the opening shots. The Ocello already been spotted.
The enemy secured zone dagger
Is not facing appropriately. If any of these hit, they're going to do a good amount of damage on this soft broadside.
The enemy secured zone eclipse.
Looks like he will get away, though. Oh, there goes one. His precious berthing, almost one shot.
The enemy is securing zone Atlas. The enemy secured zone Boxer.
Opening moves. Again, Huntress very aggressively moving up here. He's seen this shuttle. He knows that might have rockets on it. He's wasting no time in getting into a position to beam them. Let's see what type of reaction is here. He doesn't really know that this is not armed with rockets, just E-War. And his reaction has been to move them away as fast as possible. Meanwhile, first wave of S2s looks like it has the CL at A in sight. Here comes the 120 RPF to see what it can do to stop it. Unlike the earlier barrages into this death ball, if the Illuminator stays on track, these have an excellent chance of piercing. 120 PD, not nearly as strong as the dedicated stone walls and others. But the CL isn't going to go down without a fight. However, plenty of them make it through. And that is a mission-killed CL. Looks like this shuttle actually is not... Oh, it is equipped with a damage control team. That means point A could be capped. Looks like this other CL has something to say about it. So a good opening volley. But here comes the return from these CLs. They also want in on this Gale action. Let's see what they're able to do. Here comes the chaff. It's not nearly enough. But these rotary flaks are able to deal damage to most of the missiles. A couple leak through. Deal some superficial damage. Let's see how many more make it. There's another 3. Will any more get through? Looks like no. So slight amount of damage, but there are more missiles coming. There's just not enough PD possible. Even the Ocello adding its Sarissas to the bunch finally dealt enough damage. But now Huntress is bearing down. Only a couple 100 meters separate it from obliterating the 450 LNs. They're shooting, but aren't able to deal the type of damage they need to stop this from coming. Meanwhile, the 450, Axford, and even more missiles on their way. And A cap has been secured by the other CL. CL number 3 looks like it's moving to engage the shuttles or possibly a tug. Want to follow this action though. Is this where the battle will be decided between these two fleets? All 4 ships just doing what they can to stop this incredible stream of missiles coming at them. Meanwhile, his own S2 carrier looks like it's been forgotten about for the moment. I'm sure so much of his attention is being spent doing what he can to keep his ships on this side of the map alive from this absolute onslaught of S2s. And it looks like he's done it. Hunter is out of S2 missiles. All 3 CLs, one of them heavily damaged, but otherwise functional. Let's see if he can capitalize, fire his own S2s back, and stop this battleship before it gets in range. And as I say that, here come out more missiles. Looks like they're on their way to the CL at A, even though it hasn't been lasered yet. Perhaps they have some kind of backup that will let them hit. Lost track of the 3rd CL here. This one is going back to defend E. This one looks like it's come up to add its cannons to the main assault force. And Hunter seems to have abandoned his push. He's re-tasking his ships to come down and defend his 3 cap. Transitioning instead to playing the cap game. Avalon is taking the opportunity to rush forward his shuttles, cap what he can, keep the pressure on as his own forces move up, chasing the battleship, chasing the rest of this death ball. This CL's finally been killed. The rest of the S2s slammed into that.
The enemy is securing zone Boxer.
Meanwhile, Avalon has managed to sneak some shuttles around. It's proving to be a huge pain for Hunter to pull his forces back to deal with. Already there is a 3 cap, thanks to the fact that this shuttle was left alive on the A point. A little bit of an unforeseen consequence there. I'm sure Hunter took this CL to go and secure E, not realizing he left a cap-capable ship on A. Here come more S2s. They do have an excellent line towards this ship. He doesn't have the Mark 62s on point defense mode. Here they finally are. It's probably too little too late, as the defenders do what they can, but a huge swarm of missiles slam into this ship, gutting the front third of it. It remains combat capable though, and will be able to secure the A cap. Meanwhile, his other goalie CL has taken out this shuttle and will be recapping B. Avalon is repositioning, retasking his fleet at this point. Playing slightly defensively, wants to figure out where's a good place to make his push. He can't just go out into the open. Huntress is still here in a very dangerous position, basically zoning the entire middle of the map.
The enemy secured zone Atlas.
That will force Hunter to try and get a breakthrough with his missile carrier. Let's see if we can actually tell how many missiles are left on it. I don't believe so, because this 32 means only that 32 missiles are loaded in this launcher. And here 32 of them come to slam into this. One problem with only HEIs, they are not capable of killing this reactor or this raider drive outright. So the ship remains. It looks like there's a good chance that the crew isn't able to save this reactor, and if he opts to scram it, it will not have power. It might still have drives though. Meanwhile, another cheeky shuttle has come around, capping E. There is still this half combat capable CL, which is moving back to say something about it. And really, this is the story of how much work these CLs are doing. Avalon is running a bit low on time to make something happen. His shuttle backcapping game so far is being successful in keeping him in the game, but he's running out of shuttles. This one group, if he can maneuver them in such a way to get a rocket barrage off of any one of the capitals. But it looks like a tall order to run through all of this excellent ANS sensor coverage to get there. Meanwhile, DCAP will likely be falling to the ANS as these line ships are basically afraid of this 450 Axford at this point. Let's see what these S2s are able to do. They have the angle, they have the illuminator, and there is not an awful lot of PD available on this ship. They're curving around the rock. Oh, but it looks like the illuminator was lost, meaning all of those missiles are going to slam into a rock instead of hitting that CL. That is very unfortunate. There isn't time or bandwidth to get another group with illuminators on target, and that will cause a 4-cap for the ANS. There are ships available. They could easily do the work that needs to be done. However, with Hunter having these goalie CLs in the back, cleaning up all of his shuttles, it's very difficult. And obviously, we have the advantage of perfect knowledge. Yeah, Star Kingston. S2 spam is stressful to watch. If even one gets through, you know it's gonna be bad. Bit of lull in the fighting. The only combat being some traded shots between the line ships and this CL. Unfortunately, at this range, with this type of target, it's going to be very difficult to do any type of damage. And this is the Mark 62 CL. This is not the one that capped D, so a pincer move coming out. And this is actually a very bad position. That Avalon's found himself in. Huntress is on the other side of that rock. There is a 120 millimeter CL wrapping around his side. He can't move forward. He can't move to the right. And there's still the Paladin along with his escorts coming off the top. Almost a full envelopment happening. Meanwhile, these 450s are just not able to connect at the rates that they need to. I take that back. Looks like this ship is being hit. This is, however, one of the empty CLs. Doesn't have any missiles left to fight with. Let's see if this S2 attack is successful. It's been fired at the Axford. There's no illuminator on yet. And unfortunately, they're going to get chewed to pieces before they even get close. A combination of Mark 62s. That is rather impressive, actually. The Mark 62s were able to deal so much. I suppose that's what these are armed with as well. And it is. Here comes a beam. It's found his missile ship. Only one fired so far, but there's more where that came from. But it isn't a huge loss, as it looks like all of the missiles have been fired. Nope, take that back. There are a few left. Not nearly as many as there were last game. Unfortunately, with this game state, it will be an incredibly hard battle to win for OSP.
The enemy secured zone Boxer.
Meanwhile, this ship, which wanted to hunt, has finally closed the distance and is now taking out all of the radar on OSP. Doesn't have much left at this point. Surprisingly, only 2 ships out of hunters have been killed for the loss of several shuttles. Let's see if a final volley will come out of this ship before it is killed. Looks like no.
Hello.
Yep.
Are you?
So at this point, it looks like round 2 will also. Final S2 clipped a frigate. Oh, so it did. That's fine. This frigate don't care. It's gonna shoot its Mark 62s and have a good time. Meanwhile, the Beam BBs found the Ocello. The Ocello is actually not under power. Well, there is a jammer on this ship. I just didn't see it before. That's the Dazzler, and there's the command jammer. They're in unusual places. So here comes the beams. Here comes the CLs. Here comes the end of the OSP's bid to secure this match. These LNs simply aren't fast enough and don't do enough damage, even against this ship that they did manage to hit with quite a lot. Still chugging along. Only one ship actually mission killed, not K killed, because its drives are technically, and its bridge are technically still alive. A commanding victory for the ANS. So well played, Hunter. Good game to both of you. And we'll just see how much longer. As far as analysis, this can really highlight, I think, one of the things that's happening in the discussion of this game about how battleships are really vulnerable, they're slow, they can't do a lot. But that is not true at all if you have a well coordinated team and you're able to protect this ship from some of the things that are dangerous to it. Avalon hasn't deployed any plasma, but they definitely wouldn't be able to close to the 7.5 kilometers they need to actually fire the weapon that benefits from that plasma. The rocket shuttles absolutely have no chance of getting past all of these frigates and CLs and other ships that have the Mark 62s. They can fire RPF, they can fire HE in huge volumes and stop them in their tracks. And without those threats, the BB, especially a beam BB, is still able to command just an unrivaled area denial ability. It might seem like Avalon, after defeating that missile barrage when Hunter backed off, that was his time to push, except he can't, because if he closes the distance or starts to close the distance from 8 kilometers, 7 kilometers at the Empress, by the time this ship engages its drives fully and charges at them, they have seconds to turn around and flee before getting within range. And as you can see here, without even overheating his beams and doing maximum damage, he's outright killed the Cicello in just a couple of minutes. These line ships can do nothing except hide from this beam battleship, or they will share the same fate. There's just no way to deal enough damage with these conventional 450 cannons to stop this from obliterating. Although I'm sure we'll get a demonstration in a moment here. They all are rolling around. It looks like they're either going to try and fire at... I suppose the CL? Let's see how the thrusters are firing. They're continuing to roll. Okay, so they might be angling to shoot at one of the CLs and try and do something. Although at this point, it's not clear what that would be. Oh, here's a perfect example. These rocket shuttles instantly detected by this high up Axford fleet. They can't do anything if they ran in at this point. One of them's already had its thrusters knocked out. It can barely maneuver at this point. It's going to fall out of formation soon. And this is just from one CL dealing this amount of damage.
The enemy is securing zone Comet.
Looks like these CLs are on their way. Oof. And as predicted, here come these line ships. They're going to do what they can, see what they can do against this beam battleship. They've taken out one of its cannons, but it's only to red. It's not dead. It will be repaired soon. And they've fired their entire load. And here comes the beam. This is very quickly going to destroy this ship. There come two more. Carving all across it. It's lost one of its cannons already. Oh. Here's that surprise.
The enemy secured zone Comet.
This is actually quite funny. All of these rockets. He definitely was not prepared for that. Neither was I, really. I forgot he had them there. But unfortunately, It's too little too late. That was an amazing play, however. And what was going to be a smoking crater where 3 line ships are is now going to be the death of this beam battleship. So at least Avalon can be proud. He put Empress in its place, even if it will not win him the game. Let's see. I'm sure at this point, the only thing left for Avalon is to giggle at his victory while he pummels this line ship, or this battleship. There we go, all the components. Its citadel has actually been destroyed. Once he takes out this reinforced DC locker, or both drives, that will be the end of it. Although it looks like he's GG'd out. He just wanted that final barrage to come out. Well played, GG to both players. And thanks for that finisher. That was great.